Right then. Okay, welcome back. All right, now today, back on the build. Today I want to do a small adjustment or two on the understructure. I'm going to test fit all the electrics, make sure that they all fit, because I've made adjustments. I've put the rear struts on, and ever since I've done all that, I haven't put the electrics back on. So I want to make sure they all still fit and that nothing I've done and fabricated on that understructure is prohibiting the fitting of the electrics, and if it does, then I need to deal with that. There is one little tab that needs to be cut off and welded on somewhere else, so I can check that as well for clearance once all that's done. And the structure is hopefully then finished in that sense. It's then time for a Tobleronectomy. So let's get on with it. Wish me luck. Right, okay, you see where it is now. That's all fitted, and a couple of changes straight away. I moved this up higher to get it out of the way, and obviously the ECU now is the lowest point, and if I am to ever bring off that crazy plan to have the exhaust underneath, then I don't really want the ECU there. It's okay there if I wasn't going to do that. That's absolutely fine, and a safe place if there's an under tray below it to protect it, but to be honest, just thinking, if I could mount it over the top, and I've just checked with the seat unit, and because I've lifted the panel on its rubber mounts and so on, I now have the ability to put that little bit of extra space, so I can mount the ECU over the top in there, just piggyback it on top of the fuse box with a little gap in between for cool air flow. So that could work. I think it's time to do that. So I'll rotate that over and see if I can fit that instead on top of the fuse box, or not literally on top of it, but in that position, in this gap here, which is just an obvious space for it. That then gives me even more room under here for the heat shield, potentially the exhaust in the future, etc. And that other thing is this little doodah here, which was clipped on underneath, not in the way earlier when this was lower, and that's going there. It's all in a line, that's absolutely fine. But if I'm going to mount that over there, and I've lifted that up, then I'm going to put this round on the side again. Now the other thing is the wiring. I've got hold of a load of this conduit stuff, which I'm going to cover the whole thing in. So all the sharp edges, or just edges here, none of them will be an issue, because I'll coil all this wiring will all get coiled in that stuff to protect it. So I'll have a protective conduit over the top, just in case anybody wonders. So there we go. I think the first task today is to move that little tab so I can mount that round there out of the way, and then try and think of a way of mounting the ECU on top. All plans are subject to change. Loads of room. I'll tell you what, I wish I had 10 pence for every time I'd taken this on and off. But that's the way it goes with fabricating things. Test fit, test fit, test fit. Over and over and over and over again. Right, another test fit. Honestly, I reckon it's like with all projects, probably 50% of the time you just test fitting stuff again and again and again, just back on, back off, back on. So if I do a 4-hour stint in the garage, it seems probably an hour of it is get on the bus, get off the bus. Alright, there we are. Nothing else to do to it now as far as I can see, unless I come up with anything, so I'll leave it one more time so I can just make sure that's ready to fit, and then I can take it off, run it down the road to the powder coaters, and I'll get them to sandblast it. There's so much contamination on it from welding. There's residues all over it. It's not going to hold paint, it really isn't. So I think the best way, get it sandblasted, get it powder coated, and then I can come back and just bolt it on, job done, and that's it. And at the same time I can finesse all the edges, round all the corners, and when it comes back and I assemble it, it'll be all the protected conduit and everything, and hopefully I can fit it, and that's that. Then it'll be a case of plug everything in and run the bike up. I want to run the engine for a good 15-20 minutes, make sure everything's still moving before I go on to finalising the bodywork. But I want to do one more thing today. I'm going to try and trim up that panel as I said I was, because I'm really looking forward to that. So I'm going to bolt the tank on, bolt the panel on, get the pen out, the marker line where I think it will look best, and then trim that up. And that will be it for today. Let's get stuck in. Nice, free floating, same as the fuses, awesome. Right, there we are. Now that's just a little trim. All I've took off that all the way up is 1 inch or so, and then blended it into the rear. It's just to take the flotsam off the bottom, the sort of thin ends of the fiberglass, which are never going to stay there. So now I've got a thick edge all the way around there, which is nice, makes it feel just that little bit more beef. And from there I can trim a little bit more. You can't uncut a cut, so I've left it. It's still a little long. I'll bring a little bit more off that once I know what the under tray looks like. Like I said, that mad crazy project to try and make an underseat exhaust come out the side, that means this is still subject to change. So I'm not going to mess around doing anything to the finish or the trimming. That's just a little trim to get all the extra bits off. That looks a lot better now, a lot lighter and thinner, makes the whole gap underneath look better. Moving that ECU over the top gave me a good 1.5 inches more space for the heat shield and the exhaust and so on. And then this is going to be the next video. I'm going to get involved in that. I wanted to do a bit today, just run out of time, roughly 5 hours today again. And it's all that on and off, it just adds time, it really does. It's so time consuming. All these videos are approximately 2.5, maybe 3 hours of footage that I clip down to usually 12-15 minute videos. It's just a lot of work, and that's just the way it goes. Fabricating stuff, it's not all glamour, it really isn't. Sometimes, what is it? Someone said, sometimes it can't be all Starsky and Hutch, it has to be a bit Columbo. If that makes any sense. Anyway, next one, I will be attacking the Toblerone on the back. I'm going to chop that off, put the light inside there, get it all looking right, and then start fiberglassing it in, and hopefully start to work towards making this a final shape. There we are. And for one final time, I'm going to sit on this and show you that that gap is big enough and I do fit. So there we are. Thanks for watching. Take it easy, ride safe, and I'll see you next time. Okay, room to move forward and back. About 2 inches of movement forward and back, and when I get a pad on there, it'll be even greater. So there we go. Loads of room as long as I stay off the donuts.